Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, dear viewers. My name is Mansoor Dahri, and I have recently graduated with a bachelor's in ancient languages from UCL. Therefore, the topic of my talk for the God Summit will be the name of God in different languages and religions. Let's start with Allah. Allah is the name of God in Arabic, and it is used not only by Arabs but around the world by nearly 2 billion Muslims who read the Holy Quran. The word Allah is actually the personal name of the Supreme Being of the universe. It has never referred to anything else. So even when the Arabs were pagans before Islam, Allah was still the name that they used for the Supreme Being. They still believed in a Supreme Being, they just worshipped other gods as well alongside him. Allah is not a combination of Al and Ilah, which is another word for God in Arabic. Allah is a name that isn't composed of anything else. It cannot have any plural forms. It can only refer to one being, logically. Allah is also used by Jews and Christians who speak Arabic to refer to the one true God of Abraham. Arabic is quite closely related to Hebrew, which is the holy language of Jewish people. And Hebrew is the language used in the Tanakh, which is the holy book of Judaism. The Tanakh includes the Torah, which is more well known. In Hebrew, the word for God is Elohim, which is used throughout the Jewish holy scriptures. Elohim, interestingly, is actually a plural form. It literally means gods, and it's the plural of Allah, which is singular, and is related to the Arabic word Ilah. However, Jewish people only worship one God, so they explain this by saying that Elohim is a royal plural, in the same way that a king or queen might say we to refer to one person themselves, and we is actually used as well in the Quran when Allah refers to himself sometimes. The Hebrew scriptures are the same as the Old Testament of the Christian Bible. So what the Jewish people referred to as the Tanakh, or the Torah and the other writings, is the Old Testament of the Bible. In the New Testament, instead of Hebrew, they use Greek. In Greek, the word for God is actually theos, which is where we get the English word theology, which literally means the study of God. Theos, however, is not a very emotionally powerful word for Christians, because Christians don't really tend to study the Bible in their original languages, in the original language. They study it in their own language. So whereas Muslims always study the Quran in Arabic alongside translation, and we use the word Allah when we pray, the word theos is not as important for Christians. In the same way, the word Elohim is used by Jewish people, and it is important to them, and likewise they use Hebrew, and they study it in the original, and in the same way that Hindus, they study their scriptures in Sanskrit. So they all have a connection to the original language in most religions. In Hinduism, they worship many different gods, but they do have a word that is used throughout different denominations in Hinduism, and that is Bhagwan. Bhagwan is used throughout India to refer to one God. Bhagwan, however, can be used to refer to any individual gods and local deities. Linguistically, there is not really as much one word that can be used to refer to only one God to the exclusion of all others. That is a bit harder. In the same way that Bhagwan is used in many different parts of India to refer to God in different languages, there was actually once a word in Catholicism and Christianity in many different parts of Europe to refer to God, and that was Deus. Although Greek is the language of the New Testament and the Gospels, the largest sect of Christianity is Catholicism, and they have historically given lots of importance to Latin, which has been their holy language. And for 1,000 years, the Bible was only available in Latin in most of Europe. So therefore, Latin was a very important language emotionally for many Christians throughout history, and it was a language in which lots of European Christians believed that their prayers would be especially accepted by God. So Deus was a very important word once. However, in Catholicism today, Latin is less important, and many parts of Europe which were Catholic 500 years ago or 600 years ago became Protestant around that time, around the 1500s, and since then the word Latin lost a great deal of importance. It was around this time of the Protestant Revolution that the English word God became used in the Bible for the first time, and Christians began to use that. In England, they use that much more commonly. In other countries, people use their own languages. In Germany, they speak German, so they used the word Gott for the first time rather than only reading Deus, both in the Bible as well as in their prayer books. So the word God then became much more commonly used, and it's used throughout English-speaking Christians across the world. Interestingly, there is a connection between the English and the Persian languages. English and Persian are both Indo-European languages, and they have many words in common. For example, in English you say mother, in Persian it's madar, brother, baradar, thunder, tondar, daughter, dakhtar. So naturally I thought that maybe there was also a link between the English word God and the Persian word khuda, especially because in Dutch it's God, and in another language related to English, Old Gothic, the word for God is actually Guda. It sounds very similar. Unfortunately, it's not the case. The word Khuda in Persian comes from a very different root. Originally, it came from Old Persian Khwade, and it was used to refer to the god of the ancient Persian faith. In ancient Iran, they used to practice Zoroastrianism, and the god of that religion was Ahura Mazda, and the word Khwade was used to refer to him. These days, the word Khuda is mostly used by Muslims in Iran and in Pakistan to refer to Allah, the God of Islam and who we believe is the supreme being. Of all the words that I've talked about so far, I think Allah is really quite unique because it is the personal name of God. It has no plural form. It can't even have a plural form according to the logic of Arabic grammar. And Allah never referred to any other deity. In Judaism, they do have a special name for God, which is Yahweh, but that used to refer to a local deity, a god of storms and war, in the same way that the Vikings would worship Thor. So even that name used to refer to another being, whereas Allah has only ever been used to refer to the one true God who created the universe. Even when the Arabs were pagans, they had this concept of a supreme being, and this was the name used for him and no one else. It is a very interesting name in the sense that it is defined very carefully throughout the Holy Quran. In the Holy Quran, we find at least around 100 attributes of Allah, such as the all-seeing, the all-hearing, the gracious, the merciful. And according to the founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, according to the promised Messiah and Imam Mahdi, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, alayhi salatu wasalam, according to him, the word Allah is actually defined by the Quran, and the descriptions given in the Quran are the definition. So in this sense, Allah is also very unique because it is the only word that is actually defined very carefully in the religious book and its holy scriptures. So that's why I think that it's a very interesting word.